Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back again today with another mock draft video. And today we're doing a 12-team PPR mock draft. And before I start the video, I'd like to ask if you guys could please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell, leave a like down below, and leave a comment saying whatever you want. Or at the end of the video, I'm going to leave a secret word for you to comment, and if you comment that, I'll like it and heart it. And you'll make me very, very happy. So, in this draft, we're going to try to do a 0 RB strategy. I've done a video like this before last week, but I think it's important to do it again to show off if anything has changed over the week, and if anything changes, doing it on different websites, because I think last time I did it on SleeperBot. So, it's a 12-team league. We're pick 11. The roster positions are 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, a flex, 1 defense, 1 kicker, and 6 bench spots. Now, before I start this, I need to explain how running back 0 works, or 0 RB, whatever you'd like to call it, works. Pretty much in the first 4 or 5 rounds, you're not going to be drafting a single running back. All receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks, kickers, defenses. Obviously, you wouldn't do kicker or defense, but kickers, quarterbacks, tight ends, and receivers. And this is most valuable in PPR leagues, obviously, especially a 3-receiver league, but this is a 2-receiver league with a flex. So pretty much you can start 3 receivers all at once, so that would work being a PPR league. So we're going to start here. I don't think this strategy is also useful in half PPR, but in standard it's pretty bad. I would not do it in standard. And it's better to do this if you have a pick later in the draft where you don't have to pick, where you wouldn't be missing out on one of those top tier running backs to get a receiver in the first few picks. Okay, so the first pick is Saquon. Second pick is Christian McCaffrey. Then Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Todd Gurley, DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Leonard Fournette, David Johnson, Devontae Adams. So this guy picking Todd Gurley is just dumb. You can't pick Todd Gurley until like the 5th round. He has arthritis in the knee. He should be canceled. You should just mark him on a lot of people bring shit to their draft. They'll bring like this piece of paper that has like rankings on it. Maybe it's just ESPN rankings, or maybe you're smart and you find some actual reputable person's rankings, and they just cross people off. Like last year, I was crossing guys off. Like I didn't want anything of Josh Gordon. He was already crossed off before the draft, so I didn't even worry about him. So that's what I would do with him. So now it's our pick. And since we're doing wide receiver only, or no running back, we don't want Melvin Gordon, even though normally Melvin Gordon would be the pick right here because someone reached on Leonard Fournette like an idiot. You can't be reaching on guys like that. We are going to go Michael Thomas. He's the best receiver there, in my opinion. He's better than Odell. Definitely better than Antonio Brown. I'm not sure if he's going to finish better than the Juju. Definitely better than Odell. And I like it. I feel like he's very safe, Michael Thomas. He's been doing it year in, year out, so we're going to go with Michael Thomas. Okay, so after we picked Michael Thomas, Odell goes off the board, and then Melvin Gordon, and then it is our pick again. So now, we could go Travis Kelce, but I think the ideal strategy here would be to go Juju, because I think that in the 3rd round, we can still get one of those top 3 tight ends like Ertz or Kittle. I prefer Kittle over Ertz. And I think that there's not much of a difference between Kelce and Kittle, in my opinion, even though Kelce's clearly the best. There'll be like a 3-point difference each week. But getting a guy like Juju is so much better than the receiver we would have gotten in the 3rd round, like Amari Cooper, Thielen, Stephon Diggs, guys like that. So we're going to go with Juju here. Okay, so after we went Juju, Le'Veon Bell goes, Kerryon Johnson, Travis Kelce, James Conner, Nick Chubb, George Kittle, Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Zach Ertz, Adam Thielen, Marlon Mack, AJ Green, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones, T.Y. Hilton, Amari Cooper. So that strategy I had earlier of waiting until this round to pick a tight end was an absolute failure because Travis Kelce, Kittle, and Zach Ertz all went before I could go. And the first quarterback went off the board of Patrick Mahomes going in the 3rd round. Now, when it comes to picking quarterbacks, I like to pick them in the middle rounds or at the end. I don't see value in picking Mahomes in the 3rd round, maybe more in the 4th or 5th round. But if it is a 6-point passing touchdown league, the 3rd round is okay, but I still don't like how my team looks after I pick Mahomes in the 3rd round. I don't like it at all. But obviously, you're playing in a home league, so maybe one of your friends or one of your family members is like, yo, I know to Patrick Mahomes, he's the best. He's on the cover of Madden. He did so good last year. He threw 50 touchdowns. Let me pick Patrick Mahomes in the first round. That guy's a goddamn fucking idiot. So don't be listening to people like that. So now it's our pick, and normally we'd be picking a running back here, or we'd be like if in a real draft we'd already have two running backs or three, usually two with the first three picks. But here, Keenan Allen is clearly the best receiver available, so we're gonna go Keenan Allen here. Otherwise, guys like Cooper and Allen are close for me. I think he's better than Stephon Diggs, and Julian Edelman I think could be better than Keenan Allen. But I think here, if we don't pick him here, we'd obviously never get him. So we're gonna go Keenan Allen here. After we go Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs goes, and then Josh Jacobs. And since I talked about waiting on quarterback. That's usually for when you're not doing zero running back. In this strategy, I think since the three tight ends went, if you wanted to stick to the strategy and go 4 or 5 rounds without picking a running back, you would have to go Luck here because he's the best quarterback on the board. And in the fourth round, taking Luck is okay. I wouldn't definitely do it in a real draft, but for the point of this video, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go Andrew Luck. After we go Andrew Luck, Brandon Cooks, Julian Edelman, Robert Woods, Kenny Galladay, Sony Michel. Here, let me pull up the draft boards. Easier to look at like that. Sony Michel, Kenny Galladay, Robert Woods, Julian Edelman, Brandon Cooks. Oh shit, I went the wrong way. Brandon Cooks, Julian Edelman, Robert Woods, Kenny Galladay, Sony Michel, Allen Robinson, Deshaun Watson, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Freeman, Derrick Henry, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Robbie Anderson, Corey Davis, Alshon Jeffrey, Mark Ingram, Deshaun Jackson, Sammy Watkins, Cam Newton. Some things I noticed here. Sony Michel, like I said in my last video, you can check that out on the side. Go to my channel, click on that shit once you're done watching this. Sony Michel I would not pick because I think that his injury is still lingering, and I don't really trust a single Patriots running back. And if I was to pick one, I'd probably just pick James White or Damian Harrison later in the draft. Damian Harris or Harrison, however you say his name. Something else I want to point out here. Cooper Kupp, I would not be picking Cooper Kupp due to his injury last year, and I think I like Cooks. I like Cooks and the other and Woods better, and they go around the same part of the draft. See, like Woods went over here, and Cooks went over here. I would just completely X off Kupp off my list. Alshon Jeffrey, nothing weird about any of these picks here. I don't like Corey Davis at all. Would be completely avoiding him too. He gets a lot of targets on that offense. Yes, so that's obviously a good thing, but he doesn't bring them all down. He doesn't catch all of them, and he's just pretty shit. If you look at his stats, he's just a guy I don't trust at all. Oh, it's not even gonna show me his stats. So, another big pick here, I think that is kind of weird, is this guy going to Deshaun Jackson in the 5th round. Usually, you see Deshaun Jackson going like 12th round, 9th round. I like picking him at the end of the draft because I see the upside there, but I don't see the upside in picking him in the 5th round, especially. That is a huge reach for a guy who's not even the one on the team. A lot of these guys going near here are 1s and 2s on the team. This guy might even be the 3 after they drafted a new receiver in the draft this year. Jaws. So, we are going to be going right here is the last round we will be doing the no running back strategy because you only have to go 4 or 5 rounds. So we're going to do the 5th round, and we're going to go tight end. And right here, I like Hunter Henry, I like Evan Ingram, and I like OJ Howard, but I think Hunter Henry or Evan Ingram will finish higher than OJ Howard. So we're going to go Evan Ingram here because I like how Evan Ingram is like one of the only real targets on the Giants. I think he's someone that I trust because whether it's Eli or Josh Daniels, I think that they will throw the ball to Evan Ingram. So we're going to go Ingram. Okay, so now is when you start picking running backs in this strategy. You have to be picking all running backs from here on out. You don't need a single receiver. You don't need anyone except for running backs now. So here, the best running back on the board right here would probably be either Kenyon Drake or Chris Carson, depending on how you're feeling. And I think I like Chris Carson slightly more than Kenyon Drake here, so we're going to go Chris Carson. Chris Carson is on a team where he's sharing the backfield with Rashad Penny, but I think that I would rather have him on a run-heavy offense rather than Kenyon Drake, where I don't know necessarily how run-heavy or pass-heavy the offense is going to be under a new coach. So I'm going to go Chris Carson. After Chris Carson goes, I'm going to go to the draft board, after we selected Chris Carson, Kenyon Drake goes off the board, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Cook, Jarvis Landry, O.J. Howard, Matt Ryan, David Montgomery, Hunter Henry, Tyler Boyd, Eric Ebron, Philip Lindsay, Russell Wilson, Drew Brees, Mike Williams, Marvin Jones, Kyler Murray, Tariq Cohen, Christian Kirk, Will Fuller, Dante Pettis. So, some things to point out here. Jared Cook went before O.J. Howard and Hunter Henry. That is a terrible pick. Jared Cook is not going to finish as highly as you think he will, strictly because Breeze in the years past hasn't really been thrown to the tight end, except for when you went back and you saw Jimmy Graham obviously explode all those years ago. I think also a guy like Ebron I would not really be picking because with Jack Doyle coming back, I don't really trust Ebron to be all that good when Jack Doyle is the better blocking tight end and will be on the field more. Usually in these picks right over here is where I like picking some of these receivers like Mike Williams or Tyler Boyd, but in this strategy, you have to go running back heavy now, so we're stuck doing that. Kyler Murray is a guy I want to point out strictly because originally, if you were watching my old videos, he was going in like the 11th round, the 12th round. He was an absolute steal, and now he's skyrocketing up the goddamn draft board. So going the 7th round, that's kind of high. I've usually seen him going like the 8th or the 9th, but he's making quite the rise, and I still think he's worth a 7th round pick had we not have went Andrew Luck early. So now it's our pick, and we're going to be going. We need another running back, obviously. And now the running backs start getting quite scary. I'm kind of scared right now. I don't know who I want out of these guys. I know for a fact I don't want to be stuck with Geis. I think I'm going to go James White here because like I said earlier, I think he could end up, his pass catching ability puts him way above Sony Michel, and I think that he'll be solid every single week. Whereas guys like Rex Burkhead and Sony Michel, you'll have no idea what they're going to do each week. So I'd go with James White here. After James White, now it's our pick again, and we're gonna have to go running back again. And Lamar Miller is really the only guy who's that really stand alone in the backfield. Like Donta Foreman's on the team, but he is yet to be able to stay healthy in the NFL. So I think we're going to go Lamar Miller here because he is the one. And even though he is not some guy who's going to break off for 25 points, he's going to be scoring like 10 points every week, kind of like how Frank Gore used to. Um, just very average. Like he doesn't really boom for you. He just kind of sits there at 10 points doing average every single week, which in this strategy is okay because later in the draft you're going to keep drafting running backs. And if just one of those guys hits or two of those guys hits, you're good for the whole year. Is with three explosive receivers like Michael Thomas, Juju, and Keenan Allen. So we're going to go Lamar Miller, even though he's by 10 with James White. So we went Lamar Miller. After Lamar Miller, Kiki Cootie goes off the board, Geronimo Allison, Curtis Samuels, Tevin Coleman, Darius Geis, Golden Tate, Dede Westbrook, Miles Sanders, Emmanuel Sanders, 2 Sanders in a row, Rashad Penny, Sterling Shepard, Larry Fitz, Chicago defense, Deshaun Hamilton, Jerick McKinnon, Jordan Howard, LaShawn McCoy, Latavius Murray, DK Metcalf, Darrell Henderson. So, at this point, things I noticed here, I would not be picking Miles Sanders this early, obviously, or Jordan Howard because I don't like running back by committee of Philly. I think that is kind of dumb to pick either of those guys when I don't know if Miles Sanders will even break out, even though he played good in college. I like Rashad Penny here. That was a good pick. The guy who picked Chicago defense is an absolute idiot. You can't pick the Chicago defense. You can't be picking any defense until the last round or the second to last round. Another thing I want to point out here is Darrell Henderson going right before me. He's a guy that I think on this website is just buried down here for some reason. He's at running back 43. On other websites, he goes a lot higher than that, so that's why I didn't even pick him because I didn't even see him. He is someone who's going to be going in like the 6th or 7th round that I feel like is a must grab kind of guy. And if you have Gurley, you 100% have to pick him because he might be, if Gurley gets hurt again, he's going to be the bell cow. He's going to be a top 10 running back, I think, unless Malcolm Brown somehow stays as the backup if Todd Gurley was to go down. And Malcolm Brown's also a guy I'd be grabbing at the end of the draft because if you don't get Henderson, because I think that he could somehow still stay as the number 2 guy and become the 1 if Gurley gets hurt, and he's a lot cheaper of a price with like a last round pick. So it's our pick, and right before us, someone picked Also, Latavius Murray, a guy I speak about in a lot of videos. He's the guy that's going to be in the Mark Ingram role from years prior, and I think that he could be getting 30% of the touches, and is a guy that if that oh my god, I'm so dumb. If Alvin Kamara is his name, if he was to go down, then he would absolutely be a top 15 running back every week. Okay, so it's our pick, and we need a running back again because you got a hammer running back when he goes 0 RB. So we're gonna go with upside here. I think the highest upside guy here is Royce Freeman. If he can get a bunch of touches and Philip Lindsay is still hurt, he could be a guy that tears it up on your team. And it was worth a 10th round pick, even though he also has a buy 10. It is okay because we're going to be drafting 8 million guys. And when you're looking at buys, a lot of these guys won't even be on my team. A lot of the guys on your bench might not even be on your team week 10. Like Royce Freeman might tear his ACL, so he might get cut. Lamar Miller might tear his ACL, might get cut. You will add Devontae Foreman, shit like that. Things change, rosters change, cuts happen. So we're going to go Royce Freeman here because I think he has the highest upside. And hopefully, he did fall to us. Okay, so after Royce Freeman, James Washington goes, and then Paris Campbell, and now it's our pick, and Ronald Jones fell right to us. Ronald Jones is another guy with high upside because he could take the job for Peyton Barber as the one, and Bruce Arians runs. He's the new quarterback, not new quarterback, the new coach of Tampa Bay, and he's a guy who likes to do strictly one-person backfield, bell cow. You saw David Johnson, the bell cow, back when he was the coach of the Cardinals. And I think Ronald Jones is better than Peyton Barber, and he just needs to show it in camp. So we're going to go Ronald Jones here. He's a guy who could be pretty good. I don't think he will ever be in RB1 in fantasy, especially this year. I think he could be like a solid RB3 the whole year. And when you're going the RB0 strategy, as long as some of your guys hit and are top 30 guys every single week, then you should be pretty good after having such high-powered receivers and a tight end and a good quarterback. So we're going to go Ronald Jones here. After we go Ronald Jones, Marquez Valdes-Scantling goes off the board, followed by Mikael Hardman, Vance McDonald, Adrian Peterson, David Njoku, Anthony Miller, Dion Lewis, Devin Funchess, Kareem Hunt, Carson Wentz. Sorry. I was thinking about the Cardinals before, my bad. Austin Hooper, Tyrell Williams, Austin Eckler, Marquise Goodwin, Michael Gallup, Adam Humphries, Zay Jones, Jameis Winston, Andy Isabella, Trey Quinn. Some picks I want to bring up here. I like Vance McDonald a lot. I think he could be a top 5 tight end this year because he's going to be getting some of AB's targets from last year, and seemed to be pretty good last year, getting even with Jesse James there. Jesse James is no longer there, I believe, so he's a guy I like. Kareem Hunt being picked here at the end of the 10th round. I don't advise doing that unless you pick Chubb, because he's not going to be there for 8 weeks, so he's going to be sitting on your bench. And if he takes it over from Chubb, then you kind of need him if you have Chubb. So otherwise, I think he's just straight up useless. And then because you don't want to wait 8 weeks for some guy. And then you got another guy I like here. Where is he? Oh, I wanted to point out someone. Oh, I want to point out James Winston. James Winston, towards the back of the draft, is someone who I value a lot. He's someone who could be a top 10 quarterback if he gets those interception numbers down. And he's pretty solid if you're waiting long on quarterback. So it's our pick, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 running backs now and 3 receivers. So we're gonna go one more running back here, I think, unless there's value at receiver here. I think I think we can go receiver and then go running back. Hopefully, Matt Breida is here. We're gonna pray that he comes back, and we're gonna go receiver here. The guy I like most out of these guys is Robert Foster, because I think that he is going to be the best receiver, the receiver 1 on the Bills, and he's a guy who could absolutely tear it up with big numbers like you saw at the end of the season with Josh Allen. Him and Josh Allen seem to have a connection, and I think that he's just a guy you should take a flyer on towards the end of your draft because of that output. Especially if you have Josh Allen and Robert Foster, that's a pretty good stack to be had. So, and I like him more than Zay Jones, who was already picked. So we're gonna go Robert Foster. I think he's the best receiver on the Bills by far. So after we pick Robert Foster, AJ Brown goes, and then TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson, however the fuck you say his name. So now it's our pick, and we're going to go running back, like I said. And that running back is going to be Matt Breida. Now, he's the cheapest guy on the San Francisco team. McKinnon and Tevin Coleman go a lot earlier in the draft, and he's the cheapest one. And last year he proved, even though it seemed like he was dead, he would rise from the dead and play and have a solid fantasy week every single week. So I think that he's a guy at the end of the draft that if he ends up being the RB1 on the team, that he could be a solid guy to be drafted at the end of the draft. He's definitely better than any of the running backs that are available at this point, so we're going to go him. Okay, so after Breida, the draft goes. After I pick Breida, goes Jack Doyle, Delaney Walker, Jimmy Garoppolo, Carlos Hyde, Jay Ajayi, Trey Burton, Devin Singletary, Chris Herndon, Jared Goff, Big Ben Roethlisberger, Jalen Samuels, Naheem Hines, Peyton Barber, Dante Moncrief, Elijah McGuire, Lamar Jackson, John Brown, Damian Harris, Ito Smith, Duke Johnson. Now, realistically, if I was paying attention, I probably would have drafted Jalen Samuels over Matt Breida. Jalen Samuels is a guy who's also going to be benefiting from AB being gone. He's going to get some of those catches. He might run out as a tight end like he did at the end of the season. He might line up as a receiver. And he's also going to be getting catches out of the backfield when Connor is not in the game, obviously. And if Connor was to get hurt, Jalen Samuels would be a top 15 running back, even an RB1. So it's our pick, and we're going to go, I think, running back because, let me tell you something. When you pick a high-end tight end, you don't need a backup tight end. And when you pick a high-end quarterback, you don't need a backup quarterback. Even though Andrew Luck's is buy 6, you can just drop someone. Like, if Matt Breida doesn't pan out 4 weeks in, you just drop his ass. Or 6 weeks in, you drop his ass. You pick up someone off the waiver wire, like Stafford might be on the wire. You pick him up, put him in for Luck, and you don't even worry about it. So, we're going to go one more running back here. We got, on our team, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs and 4 receivers. So we're going to go with the 7 running back, 4 receiver strategy. Obviously, I think you need to finish the draft with more running backs than receivers. But if I don't like any of these running backs here, I'm just going to go receiver because I think that it might be more worth it to have not just 4 receivers. But I think the pick here is Devontae Parker. I think someone out of the Miami receiving core will end up finishing good and being a top, not someone you want to start week in week out, but a solid flex option. And it might be Devontae Parker, it might be Albert Wilson, and it might be Kenny Stills. Right now, Kenny Parker, I thought was gonna walk as a Miami fan. I thought he was gone, but he came back. He signed back, so I think that Miami has some confidence in Parker. And I also like Albert Wilson, and I like Stills, but I think I usually never draft Dolphins receivers, so I just don't trust them. But here, with the last meaningful pick before kicker and defense, I'm just going to go Devontae Parker here. I think you can make the argument for any of those Dolphins receivers being the guy on the team, and it also depends on which quarterback is out there. Say, maybe Fitzgerald likes Parker, but then Fitzpatrick, I might have said Fitzgerald. Fitzpatrick likes Parker, and then Fitzpatrick does what he always does. He throws like 4 touchdowns week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then week 5 he absolutely sucks ass, and Rosen comes in, and then he likes Stills or Wilson more, or even he might like Gesicki. Who knows? Because younger quarterbacks do tend to target the tight end as their safety blanket. So we're gonna go Devontae Parker here. After we go Devontae Parker, Donta Foreman comes off the board, who is our handcuff for Lamar Miller. And then the Chargers defense goes. So how this works is when you're picking a defense, you are going to go on Google. You're going to type in NFL schedule pocket edition, NFL schedule something, where you get like a small printable version with every team's schedule on it. You look at the schedule and you're like, who has an easy week 1 game? Who is playing the Raiders? Who is playing the Jets? Who is playing the Bills? Who is playing a team that you believe is absolute garbage? Who's playing the 49ers, a team that could be absolute garbage? And you're like, okay, I'm going to pick the defense playing them because I think that they will get or keep them to maybe 14 points or get a few picks or a sack, whatever you think. And then that's how you go that defense. You could probably even look up on Google streaming options week 1. I'll probably even make a video about that coming when it's actually the fantasy season begins. So we're gonna go Jacksonville here, the highest ranked defense. That doesn't matter. You want to go defense based upon their schedule week one and then stream every single week. I don't think picking one defense and keeping them the whole season is smart at all, unless it was the Bears last year. That worked out. But the odds that picking the Bears in the eighth round is just stupid, or whenever they were picked, even earlier than that, I think. So I'm gonna go Jacksonville here, and then I'll only point out if any real players are picked, which aren't defensive kickers. So the only one that went off the board was Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is not a guy I look for in drafts unless you're doing a two quarterback draft, and even then I like guys who have or aren't just floor guys. Like Kirk Cousins literally is going to put up 15 points every week in fantasy. He's never gonna score 30 points. 35 points, some huge week like Luck, Mahomes could, or like even like a guy like Josh Allen potentially could. So for that reason, I don't like guys like Kirk or Stafford. And I also prefer in 4-point passing touchdown running backs, not running backs, quarterbacks that can run like Lamar Jackson, Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson. Even Aaron Rodgers runs a bit, and he might run a few touchdowns in. And in 4-point passing touchdown, you get 6 points for the rushing touchdown. So obviously, if your quarterback runs it in, it's better than them throwing it, unless you have a receiver stacked with your quarterback. I think my voice just cracked. What the fuck? Am I 7 years old? So now with our final pick, you go kicker. And the way to figure out which kicker you want is there really is no way because kickers are stupid and you shouldn't be playing with them in your league. But I still play with them, and we're gonna go Robbie Gould here for the reason that he's the highest ranked kicker on this, and I've done zero research on kickers because I don't give a fuck. Robbie Gould. After we go Gould, then someone else picks Jason Myers, another kicker. Okay, so our team finishes out here, rounded out. We got Luck at quarterback, Chris Carson at running back with James White. Then Michael Thomas, Juju, tight end Evan Ingram, our flex Keenan Allen, our defense the Jags, which doesn't matter, our kickers Rob Gould doesn't matter. Our bench is Lamar Miller, Royce Freeman, Ronald Jones, Robert Foster, Matt Breida, Devontae Parker. So pretty much what I want to tell you is that the zero running back strategy does work in certain situations if the draft breaks that everyone is going all running backs in the first few picks. It's only really ideal to do if the draft breaks that way where people value running backs very highly, so you're getting good receivers at like a good price. But it doesn't really work when everyone else is trying to do the zero RB strategy. Then you just completely reverse it into the no wide receiver strategy, like I've done a video on, and just go all running backs. So, and the strategy also doesn't really work in standard. It either has to be half PPR, preferably full PPR, and if it's a 3 receiver league, that's even better, or a double flex league. So I would want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you click the subscribe button. I hope you click the notification button. I hope you leave a comment that says, let's say Evan Ingram is the best tight end in fantasy this year. Comment that. I don't believe it. I just want you to comment that. So have a great day. I hope you enjoyed. Check out tomorrow's video when that shit comes out at like 7 in the morning. And I hope you guys had a great Tuesday. Have a great day, guys. Goodbye.